Awesome. And we are live. All right. I just want to say thank you first off, and first and foremost, thank you to all the viewers for coming here to check out some of the dope projects that we have here. We've got three really cool contestants with some passionate projects. I checked out beforehand, talked a little about them, a little with them beforehand, and I just think it's a little groundbreaking in the early stage. But I'm going to let them present that. So I'm going to pass it over to our moderator, Chris, from none other than our sponsors, JP Morgan Chase.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Mosiah. My pronouns are they, them. I'm just a small, brief intro on myself. I'm a VP software engineer at JP Morgan corporate technology sector, and I'm happy to be here. So we are going to have three judges here today, Anne, Genghis, and Derek. And I'm going to let each of them speak a little bit about themselves. So Anne, I'll pass the mic to you.
Hi, I'm Anne Heisen. I'm an associate software engineer at Pendo. And my fun fact is that I was a founding fellow of the Marcy Lab, which is a software engineering bootcamp in Brooklyn.
Great. Thanks, Anne. Genghis?
Hi, my name is Genghis. I am a mathematician, so let's get that one straight. I'm currently working on developing curriculums at CUNY Research, as well as teaching machine learning at CUNY Research itself. Thank you.
Thanks, Genghis. And Derek, you're next.
Great. Hi, my name is Derek Jean-Baptiste, and I'm a managing director and distinguished engineer at JP Morgan Chase. A fun fact about me, I don't know if it's fun or not, but I graduated from the same high school as former President Donald Trump.
Wow. All right. That's good.
Not the same time. I'm not that old. Like, let's straighten that out right now.
Great. So we have three presenters here today. We're going to have Mike, we're going to have John, and we have Lucinil. And I'm going to start with the first presenter, Mike. Mike, if you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself before you present.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Mike. I'm a UI UX engineer. I transitioned from a background singer. I've sang background for Jay-Z and Elton John and Kelly Clarkson, and I transitioned into a software engineer.
Great fun fact. Thanks for that, Mike. So if you would, so it looks like you're showing us Whatsups.
Yes.
Is this something like WhatsApp?
No, it's Whatsups.
Okay.
Like nutrition, as in nutritional supplements.
Great. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
Sure.
Let me share it first. Share screen. Okay. Share. Okay. So my app is called Whatsups. Whatsups is an online location-based platform that allows a user a user can search for a specific supplement, from a vitamin in pill form to a powdered supplement. The search will return supplements within a certain radius from a list of stores. These stores include Vitamin Shop, GNC, and Walgreens. Whatsup is for everyone. It's for young adults all the way up to the elderly. So about 17 to 65 is the target demographic. During the pandemic, there were several shortages of nutritional supplements. It was hard to find, especially for people of color, vitamin C, D, elderberry, acai berry, and turmeric. This app would have been very useful during the beginning of the pandemic, as it will still be in the current seasons. On the front end, I am going to use React Native, which I'm going to pick for producing iOS and Android apps. For web, I'm going to use a combination of React Native Web and Next.js. On the back end, it's AWS AppSync with GraphQL APIs with social authentication. A cron job will be used for getting data from the 3 supplement sources and placed in an AWS Lambda that would be updated hourly for product availability. The data would then be updated in the DynamoDB tables reflecting such. For the UI library, I chose React Native Paper, which is a lightweight UI library with React Native material design UI components. So here is the style guide for Whatsups. Here's the mood board I created. Here's the brand identity and the visual representation that I can hand off to other engineers that are coming in. Here's the logo I created. I'm also a designer as well. Here's the typography guide. These are the different typefaces I use. This is the primary color palette. The secondary color palette. Here's the app screens. And I'm going to show you a prototype of Whatsups. That was the loader. A user can sign up. A user can sign in. So let me sign in. Here's the initial screen. Say, for instance, I'm looking for vitamin C or vitamin D. I would like to search for that supplement. Here's a list of the nutritional supplements. So vitamin E. This is the vitamin E from Vitamin Shop. Here's the UPC code for that specific brand. And here is a list of locations selling that same quantity of vitamin E closest to you. Also, it would give you a map of the closest locations of nutritional supplements closest to you. Here is the account profiles. You can also favorite supplements. And you can click on it and it will show the details of that supplement as well. You have a settings tab. And we also can take a product and scan that product and it will return the code. So let's scan our vitamin D. And the barcode would return that vitamin D with that information. Go back. We can go home to Whatsups. And that's my product, Whatsups.
Great. That looks awesome. So what I'm going to do now is open the floor for the judges to give a little bit of Q&A to you, Mike. So let's start with Anne. Are there any questions you might want to ask Mike about maybe some of the tools he used?
I don't necessarily have a question about the tools he used, but I have a question about the app.
Okay.
So I know that we're still very much in like the MVP phase, but let's say this goes great. The MVP is done. How do you see it growing? Like, do you see including like some type of delivery of vitamins, or because I know that you showed that you could see the prices of the vitamins. Are you thinking about some way to buy it on the app and just possibly pick it up at the store?
So I was thinking about there being like some kind of integration. Like once the app picks up some traction, maybe we can say like, hey, we can have a courier service, or maybe we can tie in an Uber Eats kind of API where someone can come pick up the supplements and deliver them to a person's home.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So Genghis, any questions for Mike?
Yes, in terms of scalability, I've noticed that you're using, as you mentioned, React Native to create the app. What makes you choose React Native instead of Flutter, especially with the new updates that Flutter has done to encompass more of universal app development, such as for both Android and iOS, as well as web app and desktop. What made you choose React Native over Flutter?
Flutter is fairly new. React Native is more, I believe, is more stable and is more robust than Flutter. I've been playing around a lot with React Native Web, even though I heard that they just released something where Flutter can compile to web as well. But my preference is React Native. What I usually do is I build, and then I do like platform specific tweaks. So say, for instance, if it's on iOS, maybe a modal is a little off, I'll make it kind of like match up. And also, like, if Flutter has like a different learning curve, I think it's in Dart, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's in Dart. Yeah. And I know JS.
Okay, that'll work. Thank you.
Oh, I'm also integrating TypeScript into the application as well.
So you're going full blown iOS, pretty much.
No, iOS, Android, and web.
Okay, but be advised, React Native is pretty much iOS going in the next 18 months.
No, React Native can now build Android, iOS, and web. But
yes. But be advised, they're gonna go full iOS within the next 18 months.
Oh wow. Well, good thing I know React.
That is a good thing, yes.
That was a great answer, Mike. All right, Derek, what about yourself? Any Q&A any questions for Mike?
Yeah, I have two.
Sure.
One on your data sources for the products, both the pictures and the descriptions and the barcodes. Have you done any research into exactly what exists out there in the market for those to get those data? Like, for example, you showed Walmart, Walgreens, the usual suspects. Are those APIs available, and do they have the richness that you need in order to make this a reality?
So Whatsups, once I create the proof of concepts, then I want to go to those companies and say, like, hey, this is a product I got. I think it would be useful to how can I integrate your own APIs instead of having a cron job. So what I'm doing is scraping the data and having a cron job update either like every 30 minutes to an hour to update that product information. Which I know in the long run, it can affect the app.
Okay.
So that was that's a good question.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. My next question is more about your just what is your business model? It's kind of a advanced question a little bit. Like is this a not-for-profit play? Is this for profit? And if it's for profit, like how do you see, what do you see the business model being?
So for what I have in mind is running ads. So getting these companies on board so I can have ads run in different locations from GNC, Walmart, and producing revenue that way.
I have a question. I'm not sure if I could ask one.
No, please.
But how high of a priority is accessibility for your app? Because I can imagine, since you're trying to not only, I think you said your age range was like 18 to like some high number. So I imagine like having accessibility could like help grasp all those customers. So yeah, how are you prioritizing that?
In terms of marketing the app, I was thinking about running ads with like different demographics, like maybe an age range of like 17 to 35, having people visuals of people within that age bracket running the app and say like, hey, and then I'm gonna have a larger age bracket from maybe like 35 to probably about 55 and then 55 to 70. Saying like, hey, the app is for everyone. Like I have this age range, this age group using the app. I have this age group and the older age group, like everyone can use it. It's useful for everyone. Because there are people out there that are young that that may need nutritional supplements. They may want to lose weight, and there are also people that need vitamins.
By accessibility, I didn't mean by like reaching everyone. I meant by how to explain it. It's reaching everyone. Like if I don't have let's say if I need a screen reader, like is your code accessible for me?
Okay, yes. So I was trying to integrate the I-18N plugin for languages and screen readers. So like say for instance, for the visually impaired, I want to create something where if say like you see a lot of red tints versus blue tints or whatever, like I want to adjust the screens so you can see things properly. If you're deaf, I wanted a blind, I wanted a screen reader where like, hey, click this button, it can say like, hey, this is the product that I'm searching for, and has the search have voice activation enabled as well.
I'm glad everybody got their technical questions out the way, because I think we have like a minute or two left in your presentation, but I'm curious from outside of this, why did you want to do this particularly?
Well, when COVID had happened, my dad was working for MTA and he almost lost his life. And there were shortages of nutritional supplements. I couldn't find ibuprofen. I couldn't find vitamin C. I actually had a friend in Denver, had to wait on a long line and ship it to me. So, and then I had to also take care of my dad. So like, this was like, we're going to be in a pandemic probably for like another year, I'm hearing. So we need those supplements.
This is true. It's true. All right. That was my question. I'm good.
All right, thank you so much. Any other questions before I move to the next presenter? All right, so the next presenter is John Brown. John, tell us a little bit about yourself and then tell us about what you're presenting.
Sure, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, how's it going? My name is John Brown. I'm a senior software engineer out in Florida. I focus primarily on front end, but I know full stack. And today I'm going to be showcasing my app called Soapbox, codenamed Soapbox, and it's I call it a modern podcasting platform. So if I could just give a second to get my screen share up and running.
Sure.
Screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, put this over here. All right, so how's it going, everybody? There's not going to be a lot of visuals here, so just enjoy the black screen. But my name is John Brown, and I'm a senior software engineer, like I said. In my free time over the last few weeks, I've been working on an app I've codenamed Soapbox. Name is definitely scheduled to change. But in this presentation, I'll just be going over 5 core reasons that I think Soapbox could be disruptive to the podcasting industry. So starting off, Soapbox is a modern podcasting platform, is what I'm calling it, looking to change the way how the podcasting ecosystem has traditionally worked. So traditionally, creating and publishing podcasts has occurred in 2 separate bubbles. You have your production side and you have your distribution side. So on the production side, you have all your software that's used for recording, editing, and managing your podcast. So these are recording softwares like Google GarageBand and Audacity. And then it's hosting software such as Buzzsprout and Captivate, services that you use to host your podcast. Then on the other side, you had the distribution side. So these are the platforms that you use to host and distribute your podcast. So these are like Google Podcasts, Spotify, and the like. While this is nice in that you can create a podcast once and distribute it amongst several different podcasting platforms, it has the disadvantage in that it effectively segments the experience of creating and managing your podcasts, or at least viewing them and interacting with people who listen to your content. So podcast or Soapbox is attempting to remove the segmentation of these by merging the production and distribution of podcasts under a single roof, under one single platform. So Soapbox is going to allow creators to record, publish, and distribute their podcasts, as well as host their podcasts all under the same platform. So that's why my first point is that Soapbox is an all-in-one solution. Moving on, the second thing is that Soapbox is social and community focused. The problem with the traditional podcasting flow is that it produces inherently a difficulty in creating a community and interacting with your audience. And this is because with that segmentation that I was talking about earlier, you have the side effect of basically splitting your user base between producers and consumers. So while producers are spending the majority of their time on the production side using those the software I talked about before with like the GarageBand, Audacity, things like that, their audience is spending a majority of the time in the distribution side. So these are your platforms that host or the platforms that distribute the podcast, such as Google Podcasts and Spotify. And so with Soapbox being an all-in-one solution, it's going to allow for producers to interact directly with their audience. And this is going to allow them to form stronger, more intimate relationships and a more engaged fan base, which we've seen across several different social platforms that's very important in growing your brand, growing your identity, and growing your own personal platform. Being able to directly interact with your fan base is a very important thing. The third reason why I think it could be disruptive is that Soapbox is streamlined. So Soapbox is a web platform that utilizes the power of native APIs to allow creators to record their podcasts directly in the browser. And this is all without any additional software downloads. So with Soapbox, anyone can basically start a podcast within just minutes of registering. It's simple, it's fast, and the quality is rather impressive, especially if you have a decent mic, which is the only additional piece of hardware you would need to create your podcast. And with a straightforward UI, there's relatively no learning curve. And this is much different from the current landscape of podcasting, where, like I said, it requires a lot of different softwares and it requires a lot of different steps in order to get your podcast from your hosting to the distribution sites that can let people listen to your podcast. So there's a lot of steps there, and we're trying to really streamline that. So that's a reason. Next reason is Soapbox is cross-platform. So since it uses modern web technologies, Soapbox can be used across multiple operating systems and form factors. So basically, any operating system where you can install a modern browser such as Chrome or Edge should be supported. So this is Chromebooks, this is Mac, this is PC, this is iOS and Android, so mobile devices as well. Basically, there are no additional apps to install and no hardware requirements outside of the mic, like I said. And nowadays, all of your devices come with mics enabled or mics built in. So your phone, your PCs, your laptops, they all have all the hardware you already need. So all you need is that browser, modern browser, and you're good to go. And so the last reason is that Soapbox is beautiful. Although not present in the MVP that I'll show a little bit today, I've been working hard on the next design iteration of Soapbox, and I can undoubtedly say it's going to be pretty amazing. Soapbox is going to merge the user experiences seen in podcasting apps and social networking apps to create a seamless and enjoyable experience for both producers and consumers. So the new UI is going to focus wholly on helping consumers more easily discover new podcasts, and this is going to do several features, such as a recommendation engine, a litany of social features, and a very robust search engine. So yeah. This is the URL to the current MVP of Soapbox, and I'd like to just very briefly show that if I could. So let me. We're still good?
I don't see that on the screen.
If you could, like, I'm gonna, because I think I can't make it the focus again without removing it. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Are you good or no?
Yeah, we're good. We can see it now.
Okay, cool. So I'm not going to click any of this because then it's going to start the audio and we don't want that. But yeah, so this is just a very, very basic MVP. Like I said, I encourage everyone to go to the site themselves and check it out. You can create an account using a Google account. And you can, like I said, just basically all you have to do is allow audio recording in your app or in the browser. And this will work if you're using any type of modern browser such as Chrome or Edge, like I said. And you can essentially start podcasting in a way right out the gate. So these are just a lot of the posts that I've made, as you can see. And this is one of the greatest things I think Soapbox will allow people is that with the more social nature of it, it's going to come out of being such a singular siloed experience. I think in today's environment, podcasting is more like, hey, listen to me talk about these things that, you know, I like and I care about. And I think with Soapbox making it more sociable, making it more of a conversation between producers and consumers, we're going to have a lot more sociable type of content. So I'm not sure of any other podcasts out there that have the core of their content being in a devlog style, but that's how I've been recently using Soapbox. So you can see these devlogs that I've named devlog day 2, day 3, whatever. That's how I've been using the platform. So I'm super excited to see how people use this new type of podcasting in somewhat of a miniature format. So as of right now, the posts are set a maximum of 5 minutes, and that's definitely subject to change. But that's what I'm most excited about, just seeing how people are going to use this and what kind of content they can, what kind of content they would create using this platform. So I do want to drag this over a little bit. So this is a very updated, not the latest, but a very updated UI for Soapbox. And as you can see, this is the core idea of where we're trying to head. So this is a lot more sociable than any of the other podcasting applications you would see out there in the market today. And just a few things I'd like to point out is, you know, you'll be able to have followers and you'll be able to follow people. So if you find people who are talking about interesting things, you'll be able to follow them and they can follow you if you're talking about interesting things. There's tags you can follow. So if people are constantly, if you know someone talks about entrepreneurship a lot, or they talk about business, they talk about startups, you can follow that person and get some very good information from them. We have ways to sort information. You can edit your profile. You can, of course, record directly in the browser, and you can have queues and see analytics, and there's going to be a recommendation engine and everything like that. So yeah, I think I'm pretty much done with my presentation. I can take any questions now if anybody has any. Let me stop sharing that because that's kind of strange.
Sure.
There we go.
So we're going to go in a different order. We'll start with Derek this time. I'd like to start with you. Do you have any questions for John? You're on mute. No worries. No worries.
Sorry about that. So, John, it's great effort. Looks good. I just was wondering, how is this different from the emerging new voice-only social media outlets like Clubhouse, for example? Like, what's the differentiator between the two?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I'm seeing is, and it's kind of how I started off. There's been a few pivots in over the course of what I was trying to create, but that's kind of where the core idea came from, is that with the rise of Clubhouse and with COVID coming through and everyone wanting, you know, the newest, best social app, we see that people like to converse, communicate in a more intimate fashion. So the biggest difference between Soapbox and Clubhouse is, of course, that Soapbox is more of a podcast style. So these are recorded conversations, or these are recorded audio posts. So people are going to be able to listen to them at their convenience at any time. And that's different from Clubhouse, which is, of course, you know, more of a real-time engagement. And Clubhouse is also iOS only. It's, you know, for mobile devices only, things like that. So I'm thinking that I'm wanting Soapbox to be kind of that intermediate between people just wanting to, you know, talk about or listen to or talk about whatever they're interested in, but not being so time restricted that where it's like, okay, you got to hop on at 6 p.m. ESTs to listen to me talk about real estate or, you know, what have you. So how I see Soapbox is, or how I envision I would use it is, I work remote. So I work from home. So, you know, I have my work on one screen, YouTube on another screen. So I would say my new screen, it would be Soapbox. And if I just needed some motivation throughout the day, I'm just like, okay, let me listen to someone talk about stocks or investing or startups, or, you know, listen to some comedy or something like that. That's what I would have on my second screen. So I really feel like it's a great experience for something that you just listen to in the background. So I'm kind of wary of calling it a podcasting platform, but that's kind of where we pivoted into. But it's more almost audiobooks, or it's like audiobooks and podcasting kind of split into one. It's going to really depend on the content that people want to put on there. So I like to almost think of it as YouTube, but without the video. So it's just something you kind of listen to in the background. And I think it's really going to depend a lot on the content. So I think that's going to be the biggest differentiator, just the linear fashion of Soapbox and the recordings of it.
And my last, well, I won't say my last question, but just my next and final question for this round is similar to last time. What is your business model? So how do you expect to monetize this, or are you not expecting to monetize it? You know, what's your?
Well, admittedly, this is a very this project is definitely in its infancy. It's been in development for about a month or so now. So, and I'm the type of developer where I'm just like, you know what, I just want to make something. Let's go, boom. So I'm not always thinking about a business plan or anything like that. But you know, of course, the regular paths will be there. So advertisements, we'll try to reach out to sponsorships, and the biggest thing with a lot of social networks is that people use them, Clubhouse especially, to build their brand, to build their platform, to get people to follow them. Because in my opinion, a fan base of 1 million subscribers is more powerful than a bank account with $1 million in it. So we definitely will want to reach out to those creators, to those producers of content, and kind of work with them to get them in line with sponsors, and there'll probably be some type of revenue share model there. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I haven't put too much concern into that right now. I'm kind of an MVP focused person, so that's what I've been putting a majority of my energy towards.
Great. Okay, so next question, we will go to Anne.
Okay, cool. So I actually have a couple questions and a comment.
Okay.
The person who likes podcasts. You mentioned before that you wanted to do like an audio kind of thing, but I guess just also kind of suggestion. I think you'll be limiting the customers you'll be getting if you only allow for it to be strictly audio with no visual, just because like some people like the visual. That was comment number one. And will it allow for like lives? So I know you mentioned earlier it would be like recordings, but can a creative go live and just like speak and interact with their audience that way?
Yeah, so there's definitely, and thank you for the suggestion. There's definitely a good amount of ideas that I put on the table that I do want. So yes, definitely live recordings or like AMAs, things like that. If you want to speak to your favorite creator or just have some type of conversation, that's definitely in the works. There's also a group or dual recording. So we're trying to look into how we can leverage those modern web technologies to allow multiple people to start recording all at once and in the same podcast, and distribute that out to some type of fan base. And so, yeah, to answer the question, we're definitely looking into different avenues of, live chat, group or live recordings, group recordings, things like that. So, yes.
Okay, cool. And just one last suggestion. So you said that it was like an all-in-one with host and distributing, but as somebody who watches podcasts, they really depend on Patreon just to like provide like some private stuff and to like really bring some revenue in by having followers who pay. So I feel like if you were to include some type of Patreon-like options, I think that could truly make it an all-in-one from the creative point of view.
Yeah, and that's a great example or a great idea, and that's definitely something we can look into. I've created other apps before where I've kind of like let creators link into their Patreon and their Ko-fi accounts, things like that. And I've looked into like Stripe integration, subscription model, things like that. So that's definitely something that I would probably consider. So yeah, excuse me, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Sam. Genghis, any questions for John?
Yes, in terms of your scalability, again, I'm a back-end developer. So what have you considered in terms of integrated into major markets? For instance, is your app deployed into a Amazon web server or Google Cloud server? How are you planning or considering at this stage to expand your app? Because this is like a drop of ink in a glass of water. Once it expands, you will need the space to do so. So what are your considerations in terms of that?
Like I said before, we're still kind of in our infancy, so I haven't really thought too much about scaling. In terms of the infrastructure we're using, we are on Google Cloud Platform, so we're using Firebase, Angular and Firebase together for the web interface, and that's handling all our database needs, storage needs, authentication. So that's all handled under Firebase, and we're using their database as well, which is relatively good for scaling, especially for smaller projects. So depending on our growth, I don't foresee us needing to switch off of that just very soon. I think we'll be able to stick with Google Cloud Platform as of right now for our scalability needs, but it's something to look into. I'm also doing a lot of caching on the front end. So requests are only being called once and then they're being cached. So we're really trying to keep costs low. I mean, I think about that more than I think about scaling sometimes. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider a little bit at a later stage.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Great, thanks a lot, John. That was great. All right, so our third presenter is going to be Lucini. Hope I said your name right. All right. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. And
okay, cool.
Today.
Yeah, so my intro is actually in my deck, so I'll just jump straight in. Share screen. Can y'all see my deck?
Yes, we can.
All right, so Wellrounded, or we're making employee health just as important as your product roadmap. Before I get in, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So my name is Lucini Chroma. Prior to this endeavor, I was an engineer at Twitter on an ML infrastructure team. Throughout graduate school, I've held several internships. One was at Adobe there, and at North Carolina A&T, I studied computer science. So let's move the resume to the side. I'll tell you about some of my personal interests. So I'm a big fan of like luxury Japanese menswear, street style, that world. But I'm also like really into health and wellness. So I'm the friend who's like working out every day, meditating, going to the float station, getting massages. That's me. And throughout the stay-at-home order, a thought that came to me was that the stay-at-home order is indirectly promoting a sedentary lifestyle. And this is going to increase the number of Americans with chronic diseases over the next few years. Now, the American Health Association assumes that 171 million Americans are going to have one or more chronic disease by 2030. Now, this inadvertently increases employer healthcare costs. Now, the melting pot for chronic disease in the United States is the Southeast. This is data from the CDC showing a large pool of Americans with diabetes or experiencing physical activity. As you can see, it's pretty hot in the Southeast. But this is why I decided to build Wellrounded. Wellrounded is a digital employee wellness platform designed to encourage healthy lifestyle habits in your organization. What we'll do is we'll de-identify and aggregate employee health data and allow the wellness director or the head of people, the HR director to design better wellness programs. Now, to date, we have launched an online marketplace that connects corporate wellness professionals with small to medium-sized organizations. We launched this 2 weeks ago. We got roughly 28 listings. Let me close my screen. So these are some of the listings that we have. I think the biggest one for us right now is Playground LA. They're a big like dance space in LA, and the prices look crazy because we're going B2B. Like, we're not chasing little checks. This is not a B2C play. This is a solely B2B play. So your organization will be able to host an event, a virtual event for 50 plus people, ranging from a plethora of activities, because wellness is just not working out, but it's also, being creative and, art, meditation, dance. We have virtual magicians, so we're in that space. Go back here. Now, the marketplace adoption strategy is to connect with influencers on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. They will recommend their listings to their followers. Their followers will tell their employers about us, and that's how we plan on making money on the marketplace. The wellness market size is a huge market globally. The global wellness market is $4.5 trillion. We are in the workplace wellness market, $66 billion. And our service adjustable market, particularly in the Southeast, is roughly $8 billion. Our competitive analysis. So there are this is a niche but large market. Version Plus is the biggest player. They've been around the longest. They actually acquire a lot of the smaller organizations in the space. But data technology, I don't know if somebody on this call has used Virgin Pulse. It's you probably don't use it, right? And employee benefits programs lack culture. They lack engagement. So our platform is designed to kind of boost engagement by adding cultural relevance. Wellable, I really love Wellable. They aggregate data. They don't have a marketplace, but they have a lot of other features involved. Airbnb has their online experiences. I love Airbnb experiences. I've actually had an Airbnb experience, but they have a larger pool of higher quality talent. Kapow is good, but their brand is trash. Awaken, I like Awaken. They're in the marketplace space, and they're in LA, so they're positioned well to get really good people on their platform. And where we differentiate is not only do we have the marketplace, but we are going to suggest the best people to your organization based on the demographic data. So what does that mean? So let's say that you have a small Latin community at your company, and you're a wellness program director. You want to plan an event to boost healthy eating. Why not get a healthy Latin food chef to come in and make a meal to boost engagement in that particular employee population? These are some of the things that I've been hearing for the interviews. Our competitive advantages are that we're using employee population health data to recommend the best programs to your employee population, as well as our influencer marketplace. So as you saw, we had Playground LA in our marketplace. Playground LA has 800,000 followers. And we want to keep the bar that high for some of the listings on our marketplace. This is our advantage. And I think, our product roadmap. So I spent the first quarter just interviewing a shit ton of people. Afterwards, after having a conversation with somebody from the Boys and Girls Club in LA, I decided to kind of pivot quickly to the marketplace. And we launched a marketplace using this no-code tool called ShareTribe. I'm a one-person team. Startups are a long game. So the early stages, I'm not focusing on writing code. ShareTribe is built on React.js. They have a flex program that will allow us to kind of go in the weeds and shift things around. When we get there and scale, and we need to scale, we'll do that. But at the moment, we're not gonna put our energy into that right now. Q3, based on how things go this quarter, our KPIs for this quarter are to grow the marketplace, the supply side, demand side. We want to have 100 listings of quality listings by the end of Q2, and at least 30 transactions on our platform. Q3, depending on the information that we get, build the health aggregator, and then launch again in Q4 with at least one paid enterprise customer. And that is all. That is my spiel. I'm open for questions now. Wait, hold on. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can. Thank you. That was great listening. So we're going to start with Genghis this time. Genghis, any questions?
I have no questions at the moment. However, just more like a comment, perhaps. I like your presentation. It was very energetic. I think this is something that's missing in the market at the moment. So I would definitely like to keep involved. I want to see what happens next. Thank you.
Thanks, Genghis. Okay, so Derek, you're next. You gotcha.
For the pandemic. The only question I had was in what made you decide to go with an influencer approach in terms of gaining market versus going direct to the companies, medium, small, even small and large companies. Like what made you decide the influencer route was the better
Yeah,
route from a marketing perspective?
yeah, good question. So I'm still kind of learning about marketplaces, right? Like I've been a software engineer. I don't know shit about marketplaces. So what I've learned is you got to grow the supply side first. So the supply is the quality of people that I'm going to have. I can't go to a Snap, a Twitter, or Facebook and say, look, I got this marketplace. Y'all should buy from me when I don't have heat on my marketplace, right? So I got to grow and scale that side first and then try to get customers, attract like customers in that way. And I specifically chose influencers because while I was interviewing some of the HR, head of people, wellness directors, I kept hearing wellness programs lack culture. And I asked the question, what do they mean? What does culture mean in these different organizations? Because when you join a company, you're not a lot of people are joining organizations because their core values align with the company's. So when they say it lacks culture, does it lack the company culture or does it lack the culture of the people? Right? Like not a lot of organizations have that strong intersection. So I don't know, I was just on a run one day and it kind of just hit me like, I think that's what they mean by culture. Let me go on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook where like their employees are, find the people that they're following, and then try to convince them to come on my platform.
Thanks. Great.
Great answer. Anne, any questions?
Yes, I do. I know you kind of planned on putting a pause on coding for a while, but I wanted to know, do you plan on building a streaming service or outsourcing to Zoom or like Tandem? Or is that just not going to be like your problem? That would have to be on the business side.
Yeah, good question. So I'll probably use Zoom. Like right now, I got to do things that like aren't really scaling. So whenever somebody books an event, I have to like book the event, right? Like, yes, I could spend time trying to figure that out, but like the way that my mind is right now, like I'm the marketing team too. So if I spend time doing that, then I can't grow the marketplace. So I'm intentionally holding off on that because at the moment I'm so early. This is a hypothesis test. I could run an event, and it could be trash. I could run an event and the supplier's market Wi-Fi isn't good, or they're not really that good of a fitness person, right? So since I'm still in this like hypothesis test, I need to, just do things that don't scale until, I have to. That'd be a good sign though.
Can you give a little bit more? Because you said like right now you get the call and then you booked it. So is it not necessarily like a streamlined service yet where like somebody gives it in and then like it's automatically connected to the influencer, or is it always going to you first and your contacting that influencer?
Yeah, I'm the plug right now. So I guess all right, I'll just say it here. I feel like I can relax. So look, I'll go to the suppliers and I'm like, look, I got relationships with these companies. They're like, some of them are like, oh, okay, cool. I'll take the call. I get the call, whatever, talk game. Then once I get enough higher quality, stronger people, I go to, I got friends at these companies. I'm like, yo, I got this person, yada, yada, yada. Do you think this is a good fit? If they say yes, I they'll swipe the card so payments work, but as far as like the payments work and then the Zoom calendar event gets latched on the calendar and then everybody's email gets attached. No, the payment system works. I got to create the event. And until I'm getting like 50 events an hour a day, then I just kind of got to like, I have to be that service.
Okay, one more question. Just
Yeah.
because I'm curious, how many events have you done?
I have not had any events yet.
Okay, cool.
I'm working on an event with Playground LA and Snapchat, but I gotta give that some time. I gotta see if Playground LA got good Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi could be trash, and I'm not in control of that.
And I know this may be a little bit down the line, but how would you address that situation where like your provider? I'm sorry if I'm asking too many questions.
Nah,
If the
you
provider
good.
of
Yeah.
Wi-Fi is kind of trash.
Oh
Would you
no,
guys-
so this is what I'll do. Yeah, I'll just hit up their publicist. Their publicist put up the listing, and I'm like, yo, go on this website, test the Wi-Fi, send me a screenshot back, and or just ask them like, hey, how many virtual events have y'all had in the past? You know, get the information that way, and then just plan the event. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's great. So I just want to say that all of you, Mike, John, Lucini, I think all of you did a great job. All of your projects were right on point. And so I think it's going to be really hard for the judges to pick. But before the judges go to a deliberation, I'm going to give them another round of questions to ask any of these presenters, and then we can go into the next room.
Before we do that, I can't believe I didn't say this before, but I want to give each one of the presenters literally 60 seconds, and I'm gonna have like a timer. Starting with you, Mike. What if you won the $1,000? What would you be putting that towards? Go ahead.
You're on mute, Mike. No worries. Not yet.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, now I can.
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. If I won the $1,000, I would be putting that to bringing a second engineer on board, preferably full stack.
John?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, that $1,000 more than likely go towards marketing and possibly designers. I've worked with a designer in the past for about a month or so to help me get to the current iteration that I showed you guys before. But I definitely want to kind of switch up how I've done things in the past. I've usually focused solely on the development side and design side and left the marketing for last. And so I have these amazing projects with no people using them. So I would definitely use that $1,000 for like, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, something like that to get some hype behind the project.
Great. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Lucini?
Yeah, so I need to run some experiment projects with groups of friends, and I need to pay the people on the platform so that I could, run these events, right? So that's what my money is going to. Yeah.
Great.
Pretty straightforward. Awesome. All right. So judges, there is a link in our private chat that I would like us to go to. We can deliberate there and we'll be right back. All right, everyone, we're back. That was, I know, a little bit too long, but it was a very, very hard decision. Like, I mean, oh man. All right, so I'm going to start off by pointing out the strong suits so you can understand why this was such a hard decision. Mike, you are very technically inclined. You had your ducks in a row when Genghis was like peppering you with like the hard questions. You didn't back down. You had good answers. You know what I mean? Like your research was there. So that, like, from that perspective, like that already was like, damn, he impressed us crazy. John, man, like you have this thing about you that's like beautiful in a sense that you care about the product and just making it cool. And you're kind of at that stage where it's like, I just want this thing to be in the hands of multiple people. And I'm not thinking about this from a business perspective because that's not where my head is at. I just want to make a dope thing. And that is like where all greatness starts. So that automatically was just like really hard for us. Lucini, so the great thing about you is that there's being an engineer and then there's being a marketer, right? Like you can look at basically Steve Wozniak, Steve Jobs, right? Like, and personally, this is my thoughts. I'm not saying this is a fact. I think that selling the thing and the person who can make it pop off is more important than the person who can build the thing, right? And you have that charismatic thing about you. You can present very well, man. Like at no point during your presentation were we lost. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got it. We felt like the numbers were there. We understood everything. Your research was on point. So just as a culmination, man, like it was really annoying to make this decision. So
real quick, Derek and Ann are still back. They're all still back there. You only brought me.
Boom, boom, and boom.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to announce that the winner of the WBB Community Showcase is Mike Allen. You bro, you killed it, and so did everybody else.
So much.
But I think, you know what? I'm not even going to say what my thoughts are. I'm just going to let all the judges kind of give their piece real quick as to why they chose. And Genghis, I'm gonna let you kick it off real quick.
Yeah, real quick, man. This is that being a judge is annoying because I can tell you right now, all of the ideas were on point. I like the energy that Lucini bring in. I like the sort of uniqueness that Mike is bringing to the table. And I like a little bit of what you're doing there, John. That's something that doesn't exist, right? But you're bringing something new here. I want to keep track of what you're doing. By no means, don't think that this is a step back, right? This is only the beginning. This is when you have to think, how do I get better, right? We're all gonna be around as we like to call ourselves older developers. So always reach out for help and never be shy to asking that if you need something. Hey, we're gonna be here to help you out, and whether with guidance or even lending a hand in developing your product, right? This is not just because you didn't come in first place doesn't mean you lost. That's not what this is about, right? This is about learning. So keep pushing, man. I like every one of your ideas. And hopefully I'll see you guys bringing something new to the table very soon, okay?
Thank you so much.
Anyone else want to give their reasons? Looks like that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, Ann.
I actually chose Luceni. And I love your idea.
Now she's just showing off. It's okay. That's fine. Yeah. All right. That's good.
I love the marketing. And my big thing about why I loved your product so much is because you don't need the code. You're pushing off that coding section because you're saying right now you're small. You can literally talk to people and connect them together, and then from that build the code around it. And I love that idea. I love that you're actually in the business right now.
Thanks for the feedback.
So I guess
Derek, you wanna go?
I guess I'm last, and I'm not muted, which is amazing. So I first of all, I loved all your projects. I mean, this is not lots, no like smoke like this. This was really really hard, and the reason we were late is because we went at it about you guys to get to a decision, and it was really tough because all of you brought great ideas, great energy, great research in different ways, and great products, right? And you should all of you feel very very encouraged and continue to push forward, because I know that I'm going to be using all three of your ideas shortly, right? And in fact, I better be, because if I'm not, I'll be behind everybody else. So that first and foremost, Mike, I just congratulations on your win.
Thank you so.
It was hard fought. This was a really tough competition. You should feel good. But guys, this was great. I haven't seen stuff like this in a long time. This is great.
Yeah, Derek was not lying when he's saying it was hard. We literally went at it, like he said, had to pull ourselves out of the room. Like, yo, they're waiting too long. Like we're doing this. So it was a hard situation. It was a hard situation. And as he said, this is not the last you have heard from us. I will check in on all three of y'all probably about like say 6 months from now, just to see where everything is at. And as he said, man, I hope all of y'all are doing great things, and your users are adopting the product. So do Chris or anybody, do y'all have any last statements before we get out of here?
I just think my
Awesome.
last statement would be, yeah, you all were great. You all were great. And he is telling the truth. Everyone was deliberating. It almost sounded like it was becoming an issue. That's how much that it was so close. And you all should be really proud of yourselves. It's really, really a great thing to see Black men in the community really showing off their genius, right? And also looking to become entrepreneurs and take that to the next level. So kudos to y'all. Great job.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. All right. Enjoy y'all nights.